8A of some sub-items A through K. Item 8A, first discussion and possible action on request of Bonnie Grunfelder for an extension on her non-compliance property located at W231 S2522 East Racine Avenue. Are you here this evening? Come on up, please. Welcome. You want to speak to us? I mean, you have asked for an extension. If you want to speak to us, and we're typically, just let me finish, typically looking for from you, if you're prepared for us to make a specific request. So go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to hear.
I've been unemployed and underemployed since February. I was injured at work, so I was down at 2/3 pay. I was laid off in July. I have had no pay, no income since July 20th. And I'm living on with my son, who's disabled, $524 a month. So they're asking me to do, things that require money, and I just don't have it right now. I'm recovering from an injured hand, which I have a slip of paper from the doctor. I was in to get shots this week Tuesday, and I brought pictures on things that I have been working on the property.
Do you want to verbalize that with us, at least, or if you want to show the pictures, but give us an indication of the progress that you've made?
I had some wood in the driveway that I removed. I burned some wood that I had stacked. I planted some grass. I removed bags I had on front steps, and I have a pile of wood chips that I've been putting around the property. And I needed to get some, I forget what they call it, landscape screening. I have that, but I was waiting for a dry day to put it down because the bugs, mosquitoes, I'm allergic to that, so I have to have kind of a good day to do that. So I have that, after that pile. I had a dead tree, I brought that down. I've had other trees that I'd like to bring down, but due to my lack of income, I just am not able to finish that request at this time. I'm looking for work, going to workforce development, so I can't really say when I'll have money to take care of the cutting the trees, and I've been coming to the dump with wood that I've, on Downing Drive, I've cleaned all that up, probably 8 feet, so that's, you can see from there to Dairy Queen to the front of my property.
Okay. Do you have a specific time request for an extension, or a certain amount of time?
I don't, because I don't know when I'm gonna have income coming in, so I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place. But I am doing what I can physically.
Okay. Members of the town board?
You said you've cleaned up some things. I'm looking at a picture of your front stoop here. You said you cleaned up, is that garbage on the front porch cleaned up? Is that what you were talking about before?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and other members of the board or Attorney Macy could advise me otherwise, but I think we actually need a specific request from you for time in order to consider and act upon.
Is there a maximum or a minimum?
No.
I can request, well, then I'll say 6 months, because I don't know. Did I say 6 months?
Well, you can say that, sure. Okay. All right.
Is it open for discussion? I think there's also a car on the property that they were concerned about. That's my son's car. He's disabled, he only has the one car, and he has friends that come and work on it. And right now, his extra money's coming towards me and electricity, so he doesn't really have the money to fix that car. He can only have one car. But his friends have assured me that they're gonna come over and help him out as much as they can. So they're mechanics. They work on the property because the gas tank is off right now, so.
Members of the board, what's your pleasure?
Well, I have a couple of comments. A lot of what I'm seeing here in the pictures doesn't cost any money to do. I mean, it's hauling away garbage and debris and wood. And it sounds like you've done a small portion of that.
Well, my neighbor has cancer, so I don't really feel comfortable burning in the yard. I could, I have a burning permit.
Okay,
She's
my
on-
point is, you've had a long time to do this. Now you're coming before the board, and you're basically saying, I have no clue how long this is gonna take me, so give me the maximum and maybe I'll have it done by then. As a board member, I'm not inclined to give you that. Now, if you ask for a 30-day or a 60-day extension, and you actually can come back in 30 days and show us that progress is made and when a timeline is gonna be complete, I might be inclined to vote for that. But to tell us that you're working on it and you've got 1,000 different excuses, whether they're valid or not, doesn't really matter to me. But it sounds like your neighbors have a problem with this, besides one that has cancer, and they don't like looking at this anymore. And the time has come, you gotta clean it up. I don't know how long it's gonna take your son to get his friends to figure out how to be a mechanic, but they're not very good mechanics if they aren't fixing that car. And it's gonna come down to a point where either you don't do it, or we're gonna have to fine you for it, and that's kind of where we're at. So I think you should be more reasonable in what you're asking as far as the time
All
extension.
right, 60 days.
Anybody else? Would you be inclined to make a motion to grant 60 days with the requirement that basically she come back before the town board?
No.
Okay. Anybody else?
Want to see pictures I have from today?
Sure. Why don't you circulate the pictures you got from today?
They're on my phone. That
We're not going to spend a lot of time doing it because we have other things to move on to.
Okay.
Thank you. Why don't you go around once more? If you've got a yard picture, come around one more time. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we grant a 30-day extension.
I'll second that.
You have to be to a date, so.
Yeah, that would be
September.
October 24th for the second meeting.
That would be 60.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said what? Supervisor?
30.
30? So that would be September 26th.
Okay, so we've got a motion by Supervisor Radke, second by Supervisor Dora to extend the granted extension until September 26th, and I think you ought to be finished or put that on your calendar to be back here on that date. Okay, so that's the motion. Does everybody understand the motion?
I do, but I just have a couple comments to add if I may.
Sure.
While I do support this motion, the comments that Supervisor Radke makes, I agree with, and I will be very hesitant to grant an extension should you need to come back in September. And primarily the reason for that is not because I'm not empathetic to your situation, but when we run into these situations, it impacts a lot of other people in the area, and it impacts their property values, and it impacts their pleasure of living. And so we have to take all those things into account. Most people who come before us for non-compliance issues typically are not coming before us because they want to have things in the situation that they are. They're often facing adversity and difficulty, but it's important that us as board members take all the residents into account. And generally, when we have these situations, at least one person has already made a complaint and it's affecting them. So just to have that on the table.
Okay, thank you. We do have a motion on the table. Does everybody understand what the motion is? It's to grant an extension till September 26th. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank